This RPG Maker tutorial was suggested by Yosuke Hanamura. I really need to finish P4G. Anyways, with that said, hey, what's up guys, mine's Storm. Welcome back to another episode of, it's another RPG Maker tutorial. This time we're going to be doing the down status ailment as well as the all-out attack for the Persona series. And a few things to note here. One, there were some things I tried to create but wasn't able to. And that includes the one more effect. And also, there was also critical hits inflicting the down ailment, but that got a lot more complicated than I thought, and I wouldn't be able to explain most of it because it'd be with scripts that I don't have experience in. Also, the only plugin required for this tutorial is actually the action sequence packs. And, well, I recommend the base trip events though. So with that said, let's start with the tutorial. Alright, quick little thing, there is going to be a segment later on that focuses solely on the dynamic text changes when initiating an all-out attack. So if you want to skip that part, go ahead. I'm going to be including everything that you need for that in its own little section. With that said, let's go over some of the requirements besides the plugins because I have explained them already. Although I guess I should keep in mind that Troop 14 is, ID 14 is what I'm going to be using for base troop events, which I can confirm works with, at least it works with Troop 15. Let's go with our variables and switches first, which they're not that many and I'm going to explain them later on, but we have the all-out attack switch, which will occur after all the requirements for an all-out attack are met. Actually, I should probably explain chance first. Chance is a switch that occurs when it occurs every time you use a skill. And after that skill is used, it'll check to see if you're able to do an all attack on that particular page. Then that's what will lead into this particular switch, which will then allow the player to all attack. We also have these two variables. One of them is only for initiator, or for the dynamic text, so we don't need to worry about that one. Available members will determine if we are able, is another variable that, I guess a variable in its actual definition of another variable that can also, it's also a requirement for an all attack. So just to keep that in mind, you need at least 2 available members too. Never mind. Let's go into our states, which are not that special. We have down status ailment, nothing too special besides the fact that evasion and magic evasion are set to -1000%. You probably don't need it that high, but it's there anyways. We also have the restriction cannot move, because that's what the down status ailment tends to do. Besides that, not really anything too special. I recommend at least, if you don't have the one more effect, I recommend at least 3 turns, maybe 2 if you want to be a little bit more strict. At least 3 turns in duration. We also have this newly down status effect, which is basically the check state for this particular tutorial. It's going to check to see if an actor uses a skill and downs an enemy, we don't want that same opportunity to all-out attack to happen if they don't down the enemy, which will cause some problems. And if we don't have this particular state, the player will be able to all-out attack even if they don't down the enemy on that particular turn. With that said, I think that's it for this particular section. Alright, it is time to go over the skill of the day, which is Agi. Though most of these particular scripts and such should be applied to every single spell, and maybe basic attacks if you want it to. With that said, we have a basic fire skill. It hits one enemy. In this particular spell, it's only certain hits, so it makes things easier. You don't have to have it to be certain hit, but if you don't have it as certain hit, you're gonna need a few scripts that check if the spell hits or not. Because otherwise you can down an enemy without actually hitting the enemy. Anyways, we have this particular conditional branch within the formula itself. If B's element rate of 2, so 2 in this case is fire, like the default RPG Maker MV. So if the target's element rate of fire is greater than 1, then we'll have this little small formula plus the target will be added. Well, the target will have the state 108 be added to them. And it says 100 here. I guess that's according to the original forum post. It's for percentage chance. If you want to change that, go ahead. But I'm not sure if it's required. That's the thing. It doesn't sound like it is, but don't quote me on that. Otherwise, it'll just have its basic formula. Alright, now we're going to go into the action sequence, which does certainly have some things to take into note. We have this normal spell here. We're going to have the exact same conditional branch, but instead of B, it'll be target, because B is only used for damage formulas, mostly. If the target's element rate, again, fire, is greater than 1, then we have another conditional branch within the conditional branch, which checks if the target is already inflicted with down. If they are, then nothing happens. Otherwise, we're going to add state 109, which is our check state, to every single enemy. This is because if a particular enemy dies while getting inflicted with down for the first time, we should still be able to inflict an all-out attack. That's basically what the state, or that's basically why we need to state. I think I said something different before. Don't quote me on that. And then we have this, but that doesn't really matter. So for our follow action, there are some things to note here, like clear battle log. We actually want to clear the battle log because we want the all-out attack to appear on its own without a gi blocking the way. Also, I think it changes the icon of a gi, or the spell in question, if the icon's different. It's weird. Then we're going to add state 110, but that's for the other part. Then we're going to turn switch 55 on, and well, that'll be covered in the next part of this tutorial. Alright, it is time to go over the troop event, and this first page, not important, this is for demonstration purposes. Page 2 is actually quite important as, well, it'll occur every turn, and it'll remove the newly down state, so the check state, from every single enemy. That way, so this is because we want, if a skill that inflicts down, like on that same turn to an enemy and kills the enemy, we still want the player to be able to all attack if the requirements are met. Otherwise, things will go wrong, and we're gonna go into chance, or the third page, and this condition will be the chance switch, which was activated through a gi spell, or any other spell in any other case. We'll be setting this event page to moment, and by the way, the next one's also set to moment. We can skip this part, and we can go straight to here. We're gonna have a conditional branch for every single enemy, or every single potential enemy, because there are potential for 8 enemies by default. And we're gonna check if Little Ghost, troop number, or enemy number 1, is affected by newly downed. Then we can proceed. Otherwise, actually, newly downed. Is this right? It's affected by newly downed. Yeah, this should be right. Cause then it'll check the second enemy. So I guess it's one giant conditional branch with multiple layers in it. We're gonna have another script, or another conditional branch here, within another conditional branch. And it's gonna ask if all the enemies actually are inflicted with the down status ailment. If they are, we have a chance for an all attack. Well, technically we actually had to check a lot of things on the all attack page. This is basically the first check. And we also want to turn the chance switch off. Same thing with the second enemy, and furthermore, up to 8 enemies. You want to do one for 8 potential enemies, within the same conditional branch at least. And at the end, if none of these requirements are met, we want to turn the chance switch off. And same here, but not restricted to the conditional branches. Let's go on to the all-out attack page. And again, its span is set to moment, because if it's set to battle, you can only do an all-out attack once per battle. Which is not what we want to do. So we want to set the available members variable to 0 at the start of each check. This is because the amount of available members will definitely change each turn, and we do not reset it at the end of the event page, or at the end of our command processing, whatever the term is. We're gonna have this first conditional branch here. This conditional branch isn't typically required, especially in the Persona series, if you're trying to keep it more closely related to the Persona series, because usually if the protagonist gets knocked out, it's game over. But for fail-safe's sake, we're having this conditional branch here to check if Runefire is affected by knockouts, which we will turn all attack switch off. Otherwise, we'll be having a conditional branch checking if Runefire is affected by the down status ailment. However, one thing to note here is, you actually want to do this for every single immobilization state, not just down. But in this case, we're only checking for down. So if he is affected by any immobilization state, we want to turn off the all attack switch again. Otherwise, we'll be adding 1 to the available members variable, because we will need at least 2 available members, including Runefire, to initiate the all-out attack. Now we're going to have this particular conditional branch, and if you recognize the script, it's from the last tutorial. If the party battle members includes Actor 2, because you don't really require the particular party member to be in your party specifically, then we'll be checking another conditional branch. Wow, so many conditional branches. If Herald's affected by knockouts, basically like the protagonist, but it doesn't stop the all-out attack from proceeding, because it can still happen with other party members. If Herald's affected by knockouts, it proceeds as normal. If Herald's affected by the down status ailment, or again, any immobilization status ailment, nothing happens. Otherwise, we're going to add 1 to our available members. This particular conditional branch, or set of conditional branches, will be repeated for every single party member. But you don't actually have to put these conditional branches within each other like the last page. Now, if the available members are greater or equal to 2, specifically greater or equal, well, these conditional branches don't really matter. What matters here is we're gonna have a little text message pop up, and there'll be option to attack or relent. Now, if you attack, well, you'll force. In this case, it would be, well, you'll force some particular party member to initiate the all-out attack. Then we'll be turning the all-out attack switch off. If you relent, same thing, but you don't obviously all-out attack. Besides that, if there are less than 2 available party members, then you might as well just turn off all-out attack, because again, this is a moment page, which means it'll keep constantly happening. Let's go into our skill for all-out attack very briefly, very quickly. We have a damage formula here. It's 50 times variable 101, which was our available members. So if you have 2 available members, it's going to do 100 damage. If you have 3, it's going to do 150, and so forth. Another thing to note here is this will remove the status ailment for the down status ailment. The skill will also be certain hits, but I don't think that matters in some situations. Like if you have hit accuracy for Yanfly and again have the down status ailment set to minus 1000 evasion and magic evasion for, well, the downed enemies. We also have state 110 removed for every ally because, well, actually no, that's for the optional segments. But up next is the optional segment, so nice segue. Where do I begin to explain this one? Let's go with our states first. We have a state called Initiator, but this is another check state, and we'll be checking who initiates the all-out attack, or at least whoever's using a skill at the moment. Now that I think about it, but yeah, besides that state, nothing special. You don't need an icon for it. We're gonna go to our troops immediately, and again, first page not important, second page covered. Third page, the chance event page. We'll be having another variable checking which actor has initiated an attack. In this case, if Runefire is affected by Initiator, then we're gonna be checking, or we're gonna be controlling variable 1 or 102 to be equal to 1. Heralds will be 2, Wizards will be 3. For convenience sake, we're just gonna be using the same IDs as, or the same number for the actor IDs, but these can be interchangeable. I'm sure I'll explain this one, but I'm not sure what this is. Anyways, then we'll be changing... Oh, right. We're gonna be removing initiator altogether right here. This is where it gets fixed. That way, we can still have it controlled in our variable, and we don't have to keep the initiator variable or initiator states, which will cause some problems otherwise. Other than that, I don't think there's anything else on this particular page. Yeah, it's on page 4. Then we're gonna go all the way down to that one segment over there. If member ID is 1, then we're gonna have Runefire. Say a text message, or say, how do you explain, say a little something. And we're gonna have the same options, attack and relent. But in this case, Runefire is gonna initiate the all attack. You actually don't have to do it like that either. I don't think force action really matters. Who does it? I'm not sure. I haven't played around with force action that much. And likewise, if it's ID 2, Herald's gonna be the initiator. And ID 3 is the wizard. Nothing too special, it doesn't really change much actually. Other than that, yeah. That's how you have dynamic initiation text. Oh, there's also the fact that all attacks also remove the initiation state because, well, if you get to that particular... Wait, actually, I think that was made extremely early on, so I don't think that actually matters at all. I don't think you'd have the state by then, so this doesn't seem like it matters. So with that said, we can go into the demonstration now. Alright, it is time for the demonstration, and for anyone who's watched tutorial preview number 2, this particular, we're on the second demonstration, which is gonna pop up, but if anyone wants to see what happens if all the other party members are unavailable and only the protagonist is alive and able, you can check out tutorial preview number 2. This is one of the only instances where I recommend you actually check out the tutorial preview. With that said, we're gonna have everyone actually has a gi, so that's something, I guess. We're gonna have the wizard inflict a gi onto this ghost here. It'll be inflicted with down, with this very generic animation. We're gonna have Runefire inflict or use a gi, which is very fitting. And Runefire is gonna have some dialogue or a message pop up. And we're actually gonna relent this time. And also, well, for the second demonstration, this is what happens when the protagonist is unavailable for an all-out attack. I didn't actually make him dead, so we can actually just wait it out. Which is unfortunate, but now we can actually start to try out and see what happens if the protagonist is down. As you can see, nothing actually happens, so, well, it didn't work. And we're gonna have to wait this out again. We're gonna have the wizard attack this time. First, well, actually he did attack first before. We're gonna have Runefire skip his turn and have Herald attack this particular skeleton. And now Herald will be the one initiating the attack. Also do note that the damage output is 150 because all 3 are available. Otherwise, if one's unavailable, it'd be 100 and so forth. With that said, it is time to go on to the outro. Well, that was an interesting one. It took a bit of work, but we got as far as we could. Well, I got as far as I could. There are some parts, again, I couldn't manage to do, or they were extremely complicated. With that said, this was requested to me a while ago, and I apologize for that, but there was that hiatus thing going on. I don't know why there was a hiatus, to be honest. It was just my summer break. But... well, now I'm back. There you have it. I have one tutorial planned upcoming, but it's literally gonna be like 3 minutes long. Like, I don't think I'm even gonna have an intro segment for it. It's that easy, but I don't know how to explain it. Because it's altering a script from tips and tricks from Yanfly. But I did manage to make... because it's not going to require a tutorial preview either. It's that short. Plus, I have to explain it in the tutorial, otherwise you're not going to understand, or any viewer who watches the tutorial preview for that particular tutorial, if it got made, would not understand what's going on, unless I explained it in the description or something. Other than that, yeah. I recorded a lot today, actually. I recorded 3 Cuphead episodes, compressed the audio, converted the audio, did all that stuff, then recorded the tutorial, and my window is still shut because I do not want any noises to come through to recording. With that said, this tutorial is over. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please /slash that like button, or set ablaze that subscribe button. I haven't done that in a long time. With that said, see you guys, and stay safe.